Alright folks, we got us a Chrysler 2010. It's a Town and Country. Money lights on. It runs like poo. Started up, it kind of coughed and puked and carried on for a moment there. We got it in, so I just did a scan on it. Haven't looked at it yet. It smells like gas too. And then I shut it off and tried to restart it. It had a really long crank and ran like crap again. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow, that's interesting. I would have swore we were going to have misfire codes in here, but we have some Evap problems and then, you know, your classic PO128. I don't know if you guys got a glare there or not, but so it's interesting. I would have thought it would have had a misfire code. The girl that dropped it off yesterday said the engine light was on and flashing and the throttle light had come on, which is kind of interesting. So here, let's do this. Let's go start it up. That way you guys can see if it smells like gas to you. How's that work? So it's gas cap. Come on, baby. You can do it. Oh, we got to give her some shoe. There she goes. Running. It's really running like crap. There, kind of smooth out. It almost acts like it's got a bad injector. What do you think? Does it stink?
I think it's time to call it.
You got some stinky stink? It smells like gas, right?
Gas.
I know. Oh, wow, it is pretty bad out here. Yeah, I told the people I wanted to start it up so they could smell it. So there, we all smelt it. So.
Yeah, see, it's got some nice bodywork on it.
It's got the clear tape. It's got the zip tie.
It's got many zip ties.
Yeah, I guess she smoked the deer with it, she said.
Oh, dang.
So how about this? Before we run it, let me set you guys down so I can get the old hood prop here. Just because we've got all those coolant sensor codes, I just want to look and see. I just wanted to make sure it had coolant in it, just because, you know, like I said, she did hit a deer before we go running it very much. But 4.0, you don't see that too often. Must be a touring model. Okay, radiator's full, overflow's full. Let's just do a little bit of a visual. It is running insanely rich. This is O indicated. Another unbiased opinion. 4.0. Let's get the 4.0. Seeing if we've seen anything just kind of weird jumping out. All right, let's set this cover down. And let's grab some scan data, see if it is running rich. So I'm going to go right into generic OBD2. So anytime you're looking at just base engine sensors, coolant temp, long-term, short-term fuel trim, O2 sensors, map, baro, it's best just to go right to OBD2. You're not going to get substituted values. We're going to learn some things like the monitors are all set, which that's good. But the main thing is there's no substituted values and it's screens you're used to looking at. Well, I think that's going to be part of your problem, lady, because I'm pretty sure we're a little warmer than the 17 degrees F outside. So that's good. So that's part of our engine coolant temp issue. So yeah, our long-term fuel trim is pouring the cold to it. That's more like our temperature outside today, 77 degrees F. So that's kind of a big deal. Barometric pressure looks right at the 14 PSI. So I guess that's a good place to start. Your P0128, I guess, is not always the thermostat. We can learn that, right? 17.6. What was that code? Man, I think it was a coolant temp rationality code also. So that's, let's see. Engine coolant temp sensor range performance. Below regulated thermostat. This cooling system performance. And then these are all pending codes. So I think the OE defined it as rationality code. So that's where it'll look at, like, intake air temp and, you know, maybe oil temp, some other temp sensors, and say, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right. So that's why it's running so rich. It thinks it's 17.6 degrees F outside. So I had to give her a little throttle to get started there. All right. So that makes sense to us. So I tell you what, before we even get it too warmed up, let's find that coolant sensor, make sure the wiring is good. It must be, because I see we're starting to come up in temperature there, so it must be just skewed, would be my assumption. But let's find that little guy before we get this car too hot. So come back into our live data. Yeah, so now it's up to 21 degrees F. So we'll just bring that there. We'll graph her out. And that way, I think it's down here. There's a coolant sensor right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. We're right down here. I'm just gonna wiggle it. Nothing's happening. Let me get a little pocket screwdriver. We'll take the lock out of it and we'll unplug it, see if it goes open circuit, see if we're looking at the right one. Maybe. Get our fingers to work here today. Yes, ma'am. So it went right to minus 40 F. So that's good. And then let's just take and short the circuit together. And we'll see where that goes. 256 or something. So we're going to take one T-pin in that connector. We'll grab another T-pin here. Put it in that connector. And our shorts are out at 374 degrees F. So I'm going to say our wiring is likely good. Let me see if I can get a hold of a temp sensor for us and see if that cures the starting issue with this car. Napa finally showed up. There she is. They had her in stock. It's your TS 5805 if my eyes are not deceiving me. There we go. We're not even going to install it just yet. We're going to take and just plug it up. As they say down south. Alright, we got it plugged up. Let's turn this baby back on. Let's kick our key back on here. And we should be reading, you know, ambient, whatever it is in here, 75 degrees or so. So let's go back in here to live data. Wham bam. Why do we got that up there? 82 degrees. So that's good. Let's see if it solves our starting issue or if we just fixed a problem. Because that'll be good to know. We definitely know that's broke, and I'm assuming it's going to start our stinky stank that we're having. Maybe not the first go around because she still might be a little flooded. Alright, so it's fired right up. I'm going to turn the key back on, off and on, off and on. This is what I did the first time, thinking it might have been an injector flooding out a cylinder. And then we're going to see if it starts good now. Alright, great. So that seemed to fix this lady's starting problem. However, it still has an Evap issue. We'll have to check into that, but I'll get that coolant sensor put in there, which that shouldn't be too bad to do. And we should be able to do that without taking any of the coolant out of it, hopefully. That's why I didn't want it to run very long, if I can get it unplugged again. Maybe. Get a pocket screwdriver here. Alright, feels like we're nearing the end. It just got easy. So we want to get this one ready. We'll see if we can reach down here like this, perhaps. Not quite yet, fella. Oh, she just hit the ground. Get this up in here before we lose too much coolant. Get that one started. Want to make sure that I've got it started correctly. I think we're okay. Yeah, that one came hard all the way to the end. Right down to the last thread. No, I don't like that. Let me get this sucker right here. Yeah, this is all the all plastic one. Interesting. So there's our factory one. I'm gonna switch spots with you guys. I'm gonna pull that out and get that, make sure I've got that started 100%. I'm gonna fire it up. I wanna let it warm up and just kind of see, make sure everything seems cool. I think it will be. We'll just double check here. We did lose just a small amount of coolant, so we're gonna wanna double check and top that off. 4 liters sound just as rattly as them 3.6s. That sounds terrible. Alright, so now we have a working coolant temp sensor. I'm just going to pull up all the PIDs. I just want to look at our fuel trims here. We want to make sure that they're going to straighten out, and it looks like they are. Short term on bank 2 is -3, so our total trim there is going to be close to 0, +2 or so. Bank 1. It's going to be a little bit higher, but well within its operating limits. So I'm just going to look through this, let it warm up, and then we're going to have to look at the Evap problem here that seems to be going on there. We're mostly wanting to make sure that the thermostat's working like it should, and that the car can warm up and seemingly run well. While I'm waiting for this to warm up, we're going to gather some clues. I went back into the OEM data to see where it's starting to warm up. Our purge is working, or it says it's working. It's being commanded on, but our ESIM switch, so it's our emission system integrity monitor. So the switch goes closed under vacuum in the tank. So assuming the purge is actually putting vacuum back there, we either have a massive leak or we have a bad ESIM switch, which either is super common to fail. We've done lots of videos on those. But just something I wanted to show you that I was looking at while it's warming up here. Purge valve lives right here. Gets supplied vacuum from the engine. I don't really feel rattling away, but sometimes you can feel them. And then this hose here goes back to the canister. So what we want to see first and foremost, do we have vacuum there? So we can kind of check that while we're waiting, hopefully. Get our hands back here, and then I'm just going to give it the old finger test. Yep, and it has vacuum on it, so it takes a second to build it up, but it's there. So we should have vacuum going back to the tank. So that's good. These purge valves are pretty failure prone also, so we're going to get that plugged back in now that we know it's actually opening. Step 2, I came back here. This is the ESIM switch on the back of the canister, and I unhooked the rubber elbow off it that goes up to the fresh air. And what I want to do is stick something in here to make sure our vacuum's making it all the way back here. We're just going to use a vacuum gauge. Depending on how much fuel's in the tank, it might take a minute to display, but we just want to see this going negative here. After a bit, it might take it a while, but let me let this sit here for a minute and see. It took a few minutes, but we do have vacuum. We're coming up on 1 inch. Let me, and you probably won't be able to hear it, but I'm gonna pull this off. We should hear it. We'll be able to watch the gauge move a little bit. You ready? And then you can hear the air sucking back through there. So that's good. That tells us a couple things. When I was waiting for this to build vacuum. Whoa, man down. I did see the problem. That's because we didn't get a visual inspection, but it's your classic failed ESIM. I'll show you. I got the green crusties growing back here all the time. Enhance. There she is. So you can see on the back side of that connector, if we get her to focus. Come on, you mother lover. There she is. So yeah, on the back side of that connector, you guys can see the green pus growing out of it. Usually it gets into the connector. Let's pop that connector off. Did it? Well, that's better than getting on my glasses. Just a tinge of green on the corner. But not too bad. So yeah, we get an eSIM switch for that, and that'll at least fix the fact that the eSIM switch can work. It doesn't mean there's no leaks, but we need to get that fixed. So I'm gonna go eat some lunch. I'm gonna see if somebody has one of those, and we'll get one coming.
Hey, kitty.
Hey, girl.
Hey.
What's up?
There's somebody here for you.
Oh, okay. Napa has come through for us yet again. Second time today. Go Napa. We're gonna get this little guy out of here. Come off pretty easy, and then we could probably get a better look at the green crusties coming out of there on the back side of this plug. They leak right through the front. I've got my lighting in a really crappy spot so nobody can see. We're gonna take a little Toyota rubber grease. You can just use So Glide if you have that. This just happens to be what I grabbed. Set that down. We've got the O-ring that comes with it, and we just apply a little bit of grease to this, just to the face of it here. That'll help stick it where it needs to be stuck. And then I also put it on the other side too. So flip it around, slick her up on both sides, and then you'll see where it goes right in the end of the canister. You can't mess that up really. It sits right in there nicely. Rub some lube around it. Grab your new eSIM switch. If you're calling to Napa to get one of these, they'll have no idea what you're talking about when you say eSIM switch. The Eklund catalog and Sander Motor Products still has it listed under a leak detection pump, which is the one thing it is not. It is not. It is a leak detector, but it's in no way, shape, or form a pump. Like the old Chrysler LDP systems, they're actual leak detection pump systems that they made. Totally different than this. So, just a word of advice. If you're calling to get one, tell them you need a leak detection pump. They'll know exactly what you're talking about then. Sometimes, maybe. You'll probably have to look it up yourself. So now we have that in. I'm gonna fire it up. We're gonna look at the purge. We're gonna look at the eSIM switch status, make sure that when it goes under purge, that switch closes. That's what we expect to see. I've mentioned in a lot of other videos, if you want an in-depth detail of how the eSIM system works, or Chrysler leak detection pump systems, or their NVLD systems, or their three main Evap systems that they use. The GoTech Garage, Mike Becker over there at Wells EV, whatever you remember it as, but I believe it's GoTech Garage now for NGK over on YouTube. He does a really great job on the Chrysler Evap system. Search your videos. I'll see if I can find a link to put it there, but if you want to know exactly how the system works, best explanation there, don't listen to me. Alright, so there we go. Sorry, you guys just about missed it. Our purge solenoid just turned on. As soon as it turned on, seconds later, the eSIM switch went closed. So that's good. So it'll build and hold a certain amount of vacuum in the tank, and then eventually the purge valve will shut off. The PCM will test it for a large leak, which I think we can force run at least a large leak test, but we can at least see now that eSIM switch works. Let me shut the key off. So we shut it off, I turned the key back on. Of course, we lost our data, as soon as we killed the key here. Let me see if I can pop in the live data, see if it saves it. I don't know as if it does. No, it doesn't, but we can search our eSIM switch real quick here and see if it stayed closed. And it's still closed, so that tells us that we don't have, at least a massive leak. Because if I go back and take the gas cap off, we should watch that go open. But there's a certain amount of time that should remain closed, depending on, fuel tank volume, volatility, stuff like that. But to make sure the switch works, let me go open the gas cap. 3, 2, 1. Okay, the cap's open. It should have went open. I can't see it, but it should have. I'll put the cap back on. And that's that. So hopefully it opened at that time. I'll figure it out when I'm editing the video. But I think maybe it's under system check. We can do a gross evap leak. Yeah, because I think this is special. Let's go system check. EGR, eSIM force monitor test. So I had to do a couple other jobs here while I was waiting for it. Got back on this. I let this test run. A couple times it comes up test complete. But this large leak monitor status, you know, it says NL. I don't know what that means. I'm running it again. Some of the Evap testing on Chryslers can be a little hit or miss with Altel. We should dig out the Y-Tech to do this. But I'm pretty confident we have it. I mean, the switch goes closed almost immediately as soon as the purge hits. It stays closed for a long time, key on, engine off. I've gone ahead and cleared the codes out of it. I think at this point I'm just going to let the customer go ahead and just take the vehicle. Sometimes we got to do just that, folks. We just got to leave it at that. I usually like to run a drive cycle before giving it back to customer, but in this case I'm going to give it back. This thing's got some other issues. I mean, it needs tires and a host of other things, but at least this way here the car will start and run without, you know, reeking like gas and flooding itself out. And you know, we fixed the Evap problem there. You know, it still has to go through and run the Evap monitor, and you know, hopefully it doesn't set a code for, you know, for a small leak. Gross leak I know we've got fixed because that switch stays closed for a long time. And you know, I'll see what she wants to do the rest of it. Obviously, you know, friend's banged up, needs a headlight, and like I say, needs some other work too. So we're gonna leave it at that. Hopefully you guys still got something out of this video, got to see, you know, about the coolant rationality code that it had in it, leaning us towards, you know, looking at the coolant temp sensor to see what that's doing. And it was pretty surprising to me that it was flooding it out that bad, because when I first started it, ran like crap, you know, and then shut the key off, back on, and it got way worse. Almost acted to me like it was, you know, had an injector that's leaking down, but clearly that's not the case. You know, it's just more or less a problem just with that coolant temp sensor. So, but like I say, we're gonna keep on moving on. Super slammed to work today, so I gotta keep going. You guys go in the comment section. Questions, concerns, the Insta, the Facebook. You know where to find us, folks. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.